Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I have some very exciting Master League battles that were submitted to me by a very talented battler who goes by TheActualNomad in Pokemon Go. These battles are exciting because not only do they feature the shiny new Pokemon that everyone is excited about for Master League, Tapu Bulu, but also this player's elo skyrocketed when he used this team. He literally leaped from veteran to expert and then to legend in just a couple of days with these Pokemon. The team is going to be Dialga Origin on the lead, and I believe the save swap is Solgaleo, and then you'll have that Tapu Bulu in the back, which I'm really excited to see how it performs in the Master League. I should point out the team has some very glaring weaknesses. It's entirely going to be weak to Heatran, but let's be honest, no one's running Heatran this season. It's also extremely weak to Ho-Oh, and it is ABA weak to Landorus. But he still managed to make it work, so if you have these Pokemon, maybe consider giving this team a try. It might work out for you. I'll be honest, I'm not much of an expert in Master League, so I can't really explain to you guys how this team is going to function. So I'm just going to be quiet and let the battles do the talking for me. Hopefully together we can learn what his technique and strategy is from the battles that we are going to watch. Alright, we have quite a few battles to get through. I have the set where he goes from veteran to expert, and I also have the set where he goes from expert to legend. I can't wait to see these. Let's get into it. Okay, up first it looks like we are going to be seeing the Dialga mirror match, and the opponent has the buddy boost, so they will win this mirror if we stay in. But he makes a very impressive catch, catching Roar of Time on his Solgaleo, which is going to be resisted because Roar of Time is a dragon type move, and then the opponent swaps into a Mewtwo. He also calls that the Mewtwo goes Side Strike and not Shadow Ball, and that barely does any damage to Solgaleo because again, Solgaleo is going to be quadruple resisting Psychic type moves. Now it makes sense to let the Solgaleo go here. They have to use 3 Side Strikes to take Solgaleo out, and then we can bring in Dialga and farm the Mewtwo down. That means we're going to have a ton of energy for the opposing Dialga on our Dialga, and then our opponent is going to swap into a Lugia. This is going to get a little bit tricky because Lugia's charge moves are going to be super effective against Tapu Bulu. Keep in mind, Tapu Bulu is a grass type, so it is going to be taking super effective from the flying type charged moves if they land. Now, we are going to be debuffing the Lugia with the Nature's Madness, so as we go on, the charge moves are going to hurt Lugia more and more. And also, Sky Attack got nerfed a couple seasons ago, so the Lugia is going to take longer to get to that Sky Attack, and that means I think Tapu Bulu will be able to outpace to the Nature's Madness in comparison to Lugia's charge moves, so I think we should be in a good position here to throw the Nature's Madness on the Dialga and then get to another one against Lugia, and this should be enough, or almost enough to KO the Lugia. We are able to take it out with one more Bullet Seed. GG's to the opponent. That was a very good game, and it's really nice to see how Tapu Bulu, a Fairy and Grass type, will perform against a Flying and Psychic type. Keep in mind though, they weren't able to land a move on us because we had 2 shields for Tapu Bulu and they had 1 shield, so just keep that in mind. In another situation, it might get a little bit dicey. Alright, on the next match we are going to be seeing a Kyurem lead. I haven't seen this in a while, and they are going to be going for that Glaciate, dropping our attack unfortunately, but we're going to be able to hit them with a super effective Iron Head, and then they bring in a Lugia. They're seeing a lot of Lugias. When I queued up for Master League this season, I didn't see any Lugias, so very interesting. We're seeing very different metas. He was able to get to a Roar of Time on the Lugia and take a shield from them, and then we can bring in the Solgaleo against the Lugia, which is going to be resisting everything from Lugia. You can see that Aeroblast barely did anything to Solgaleo, and it looks like we are just going to be debuffing the Lugia. We should be in a good position to take it out, but the opponent swaps out into a Dialga, going for that Psychic Fangs, and I think he's going to build up to the Flamethrower, but bait with a Psychic Fangs, and the opponent actually shields it. We're going to be able to reach the Flamethrower as well, and because the Dialga is debuffed, we should be able to take it out with the Flamethrower, and then all we have to do here is get to that Nature's Madness and take the Lugia out, but the opponent knows that it's over, and they top left. On to the next match, we are going to see a Mewtwo on the lead, which I believe is a good lead for Dialga because Dialga is going to be resisting those Side Strikes, so the Mewtwo is going to have to go for the Ice Beams against Dialga. So I said Shadow Ball earlier, but it looks like a lot more people are running Ice Beam on Mewtwo, probably for the Landorus and the Dragonites, because Ice Beam is going to be really good against those. It is also going to be hitting for neutral against the Dialga, so I guess you don't really have a reason to run that Shadow Ball. We were able to take a shield from our opponent, and we invested one of our own shields, and we were able to take the lead. He also got the opponent's Dialga very low into the yellow, and now we can bring Solgaleo in against this Dialga and take the Draco Meteor like a champ, and the opponent is going to have what Tapu Bulu is absolutely going to wall. They have a Palkia Origin in the back. The Aqua Tails are going to be resisted, the Spatial Rend is going to be resisted, and the opponent already knows that they have to top left. GG's. Moving on to the next battle, we are going to be seeing that normal Dialga on the lead. Is it called Dialga Altered? Because you have Dialga Origin, would it be Dialga Altered, the other one? I'm not sure, correct me on that if I'm wrong. But I believe the Origin wins this mirror. In all of the sims that I did on PvPoke, the Origin almost always wins, I think because it has a little bit more defense. He called the opponent's Iron Head and no-shielded that, but the opponent did not call our Roar of Time. They no-shield the Roar of Time and were able to take the Dialga out, and then they bring in a Palkia again. Tapu Bulu is going to be absolutely destroying Palkia. Gonna go for that Nature's Madness against the Palkia and take the Aqua Tails like a champ. We're able to take the Palkia out, they let it go, and then the opponent is going to have a Kyogre in the back, and again, Tapu Bulu is going to be performing really well against Kyogre, so I'm not really sure why we swapped into the Solgaleo, but I guess Solgaleo can go for those Psychic Fangs and start debuffing the Kyogre. They go ahead and they also shield an obvious first Psychic Fangs, which is a questionable move from the opponent because they know that the next ones are going to be doing a lot more damage to the Kyogre because it is getting debuffed. But it looks like Solgaleo by itself was able to get the Kyogre into the red, and then we can come in with Tapu Bulu and finish that Kyogre off. Good game to the opponent, and that is going to be a very nice 5-0, taking him straight into Expert rank. This next set of games takes place directly after the Expert set. I do have the Legend set coming up, but the Legend set is also another 5-0, and I wanted to see some poor matchups for the team because if we just see some positive matchups, we won't get an idea of how the team performs. So in this set, we do see some losses. In this first game, we are going to be seeing the Dialga Origin mirror match, and it looks like our opponent is going to have a lower CP than we do. So they don't have that buddy boost. We also don't have a buddy boost, but it looks like we are going to have better stats than the opponent. So we are able to take the lead, and we're also able to throw an Iron Head on the Lugia. Again, seeing a lot of Lugias, but we are going to be able to come in with the Solgaleo against the Lugia, go for a Flamethrower, and now the Lugia is in the yellow. The Solgaleo is going to be able to tank an Aeroblast like a champ, and we're going to be able to go for another Flamethrower and take the Lugia out. Our opponent is going to have a Shadow Mewtwo in the back. He goes for a Psychic Fangs to start debuffing this Mewtwo. They no shield, and now they are in the yellow already. They go for an Ice Beam to take the Solgaleo out. It is resisted, but again, Shadow Mewtwo is an absolute monster, so that Ice Beam does take the Solgaleo out. We're going to go ahead and let the Tapu Bulu go because unfortunately we have one shield left and our opponent has 2 shields left. So there was no winning that. On to the next battle, we are going to see a Palkia on the lead, which is a pretty decent lead for Dialga, but our opponent is going to be safe swapping into a Mewtwo. And I would have swapped immediately into the Solgaleo when I saw the Mewtwo, but it looks like we are going to be staying in with the Dialga against the Mewtwo, and it looks like it is running Shadow Ball, so probably a good idea that we stayed in with the Dialga. Now he goes ahead and he shields the Side Strike here, and I was questioning at first why he did this, but once I see what's in the back, it makes sense. He probably called that they had the Ho-Oh in the back, and he needed the Dialga for the Ho-Oh because, you know, they led Palkia, and Ho-Oh in the back makes sense. He's able to bait with the Iron Head and take the opponent's final shield, and then he's also able to get to a Roar of Time on the Ho-Oh. Unfortunately, the Ho-Oh survives with 1 HP, and they're able to get to a Sacred Fire, but that's not going to be important because with the Ho-Oh out of the way, the Tapu Bulu is absolutely going to wreck the Palkia that's in the back. GG's to the opponent. On to the next battle, we are going to see the Ho-Oh on the lead, and this is going to be a huge core breaker for the team. It looks like he is going to go immediately for the Roar of Time, and the opponent is definitely going to shield that up. Now we are going to be investing our own shield because we need to get this Ho-Oh a lot weaker because the backline is not going to be doing very well against it. We go for an Iron Head this time, and they go ahead and they also shield that. Okay, so it looks like we are going to be going 2 shields down, and our opponent is also going to be going 2 shields down, but it looks like they are going to have a Lugia in the back. Again, Solgaleo is going to be resisting everything from Lugia, so we can bring it in pretty safely here. They're going to go for an Air Blast here, which Solgaleo can tank, and we're just going to be going for the Flamethrowers. Because shields are down, we have no reason to go for that Psychic Fangs. Unfortunately, it is not going to be enough to take the Lugia out. They are going to survive in the red, and they are also going to reach a Sky Attack against Solgaleo and take Solgaleo out. They were able to outbulk us in that matchup. Now, they bring in Ho-Oh. They're able to take our Dialga out with the Ho-Oh. And unfortunately, we do have to bring in our Tapu Bulu against Ho-Oh and go for a Grass Knot to take it out. And just hope that whatever our opponent has in the back, Tapu Bulu can take care of. They have a Zarude in the back, which Tapu Bulu walls, but unfortunately, Tapu Bulu does not have a lot of health left on it because it took all those Incinerates from Ho-Oh. They're also able to catch the second Nature's Madness on their Lugia in the back, so unfortunately, we are not going to be able to win that. On to the next battle, we are going to get a Zygarde on the lead, and believe it or not, this is actually not the worst matchup for Dialga. That's because Dialga is going to be doing super effective to the Zygarde, where the Zygarde is going to be doing neutral damage to Dialga. Again, that's because of Dialga's partial steel typing. Now, we're going to go for that Roar of Time immediately, and the opponent definitely calls it. They go ahead and they shield it, and we are going to go ahead and double shield our Dialga and Dragon Breath the Zygarde down completely. The opponent is going to have their own Solgaleo in the back, and we are going to swap into ours before the opponent can farm our Dialga down, because that's not good. We don't want energy on this thing. Now, our opponent could be running Iron Head or Solar Beam on their Solgaleo, so they might not call that we have Flamethrower. We're going to go immediately for the Flamethrower. We're able to take the Solgaleo out, and then we can go for a Flamethrower on the Dialga. Now, let's see what our opponent decides to do. They let the Flamethrower go, and it looks like he recognized that the opponent was going to attempt to farm the Solgaleo down, so he swapped immediately into his Dialga. He has 2 Iron Heads loaded up, going to go for them both. And now the Dialga is in the red, but can Tapu Bulu take an Iron Head? Let's see. I'm really curious to see how much this Iron Head is going to do. Hopefully it doesn't KO. It puts us in the yellow, but we're not going to be able to make it to a move. Very unfortunate. The opponent is going to be able to make it to 2 Iron Heads. I'm not sure, I wasn't keeping track of the energy, but I think if we just brought in the Tapu Bulu immediately, maybe we would have made it there. Maybe, I'm not sure. Anyways, on to the next match. We are going to see a Zarude on the lead. And I think this is another decent lead for Dialga, but we do have 2 better answers to it in the back. We're going to go immediately for that Roar of Time. Hopefully the opponent doesn't shield. They no shield. We're able to take the Zarude out with the Dialga, and then our opponent is going to have that really annoying Landorus in the back. I'm curious to see how this is going to go because I haven't seen a Landorus in the games you played so far. So we're going to bring the Tapu Bulu in against the Landorus, and we shield a Sandseeker Storm. Really unfortunate, and our opponent is going to have that Palkia in the back. We bring in the Solgaleo, and this is actually good that they swapped out into their Palkia against the Solgaleo, because Solgaleo is going to be resisting the Dragon-type moves from Palkia, and it is going to be able to debuff the Palkia with the Psychic Fangs. So we can get the Palkia pretty low with Solgaleo. We already saw that before. And also the Aqua Tail is not enough to take the Solgaleo out here. We're going to be able to reach another Psychic Fangs and take Palkia out with a Steel type. Really cool to see. And then the opponent is going to go for a Sandseeker Storm here against the Tapu Bulu. Good thing we called it and we didn't shield it. We have a shield left, so all we have to do here, I think we can safely shield. It is another Sandseeker Storm, but we should be able to reach another move on the Landorus, and this will be enough to take the Landorus out. GG's to the opponent. I'm curious to see what you do once you see the Landorus on the lead. Alright, now let's get into the set where he reaches Legend. This is going to be a couple days later. Up first, we are going to see a Kyogre on the lead, which is a really good lead for Dialga. Dialga is going to be resisting everything from Kyogre, given that they're not running Blizzard. If they're running Blizzard, then that is going to be neutral, but, you know, bad lead for our opponent. Anyways, our opponent is going to swap into that Zygarde, and we are going to bring in Tapu Bulu. Again, this is another Pokemon that Tapu Bulu is going to wall. Zygarde is going to be running either Crunch, Outrage, or Earthquake, and all of those moves are resisted. We're able to take the Zygarde out with 2 Nature's Madness, and then our opponent brings in Kyogre, and they even take a Grass Knot on Kyogre. We get the Kyogre really low, and then we're going to be able to bring in Dialga and potentially farm the Kyogre down, but our opponent swaps out into a Primarina. We have the Solgaleo in the back, which is going to be resisting the charms from the Primarina, but then our opponent goes ahead and top lefts because they realize that that is going to be a game lost. In the next battle, we are going to get a Giratina Origin on the lead, which is a good lead for Dialga, and our opponent immediately swaps into a Primarina. We bring in Tapu Bulu, go for that Grass Knot, and we're able to take the Primarina out, one-shot the Primarina, and then we're going to go for a Nature's Madness on the Giratina. They're going to have to throw a move, or else we're going to reach another Nature's Madness, but this time they shielded up. They are going to stick to a full farm down. That way they can have energy for our Dialga. Gonna go for a Shadow Ball here. Unfortunately, it is going to get us into the yellow, but our opponent is going to have another Charmer in the back. This time it is going to be Togekiss, and we have the Solgaleo for it. As soon as they see the Solgaleo, they top left. On to the next battle, we are going to see a Mewtwo lead. Gonna stay in this with Dialga because, again, Dialga is going to be resisting the Psy Strikes. We just have to watch out for a potential Focus Blast. My Dialga got Focus Blasted today, and I didn't shield it, but it looks like this one is going to be running Shadow Ball. We did go ahead and shield the Shadow Ball, which is perfectly fine, and then they bring in the Lugia. We go for that Iron Head, but they decide to invest a shield. Now we're going to bring in Solgaleo, which is again going to be walling Lugia, and just going to go for the Flamethrowers to weaken this very bulky Pokemon. We're just going to go for another Flamethrower up against this Lugia, and as we've seen before, it's not going to be enough to take it out, but they bank a move and they swap out. They swap out into a Palkia Origin. We have the Tapu Bulu in the back, so we're going to be completely fine. We're going to be able to reach this Nature's Madness really easily, throw it on the Palkia and take the Palkia out. Of course, they're going to no-shield it because there was no point shielding it there. They're going to save their final shield for Mewtwo, but we are also going to be able to reach a Nature's Madness on the Mewtwo and take their last shield. Now it's going to be Mewtwo versus our full health Dialga. Now, the Lugia did leave with a move, so we have to watch out for that, but they try to snipe with their Lugia. We're able to catch it on our Solgaleo. It's just a Sky Attack, so it wouldn't have hurt the Dialga anyways, but that's still a very impressive reaction time and a really nice catch, and now the Solgaleo should be able to take the Mewtwo out. We might not even need the Dialga. Now, it looks like our opponent did go ahead and top left. I guess they gave up because they knew they were not going to be able to take this game. We still had a shield, so that was going to be an easy win for us. Moving on to the next battle, it looks like we are going to see that Dialga mirror match again, and this time our opponent has the Buddy Boost, so we know that if we stay in this, we will lose. Again, he manages to pull off the really impressive catch on the move. Unfortunately, this time it's just the Iron Head, and the opponent even farms up energy before swapping out into a Giratina Origin. Really unfortunate that they have that Giratina Origin. Not going to be good for our Solgaleo. Giratina is going to be resisting the fast move. However, the Psychic Fangs are going to start adding up. We're able to get the Giratina Origin into the red, and now we can let Solgaleo go and come in with Dialga and farm the Giratina down. They undercharge their move, probably hoping to farm our Solgaleo down. However, he makes an immediate swap into his Dialga, and now he has a lot of energy on Dialga. Gonna go for an Iron Head against their Dialga. They no shield, they let Dialga go, and they have a Mewtwo left in the back. Gonna go for 2 Iron Heads on the Mewtwo, take both of their shields, and they are going to be in the yellow now, and he makes another very impressive catch, taking that Side Strike damage on the very low HP Solgaleo and saving Dialga. Now he can let Dialga go here, save his final shield for Tapu Bulu, and I think you go ahead and shield here in case this is the Ice Beam. They're not going to be able to make it to another Ice Beam if it's Psy Strike. They'll be able to reach another Psy Strike though, and it's not going to be enough to take Tapu Bulu out. Tapu Bulu is going to be able to take that win. Moving on to the final battle of the video, we are going to see a Hisuian Avalugg on the lead, and Dialga's Iron Head is absolutely going to be hurting this Avalugg because of Avalugg's Rock and Ice typing, meaning that it will take quadruple super effective from this move. They, of course, are going to go ahead and shield it. They're just going to be going for Icy Winds and debuffing the Dialga. I think they can go ahead and fully farm down if they shield this Iron Head, but that means they are going to go 2 shields down, and we still have both our shields. Now, we are going to bring Solgaleo in here. Everything is going to be resisted from this Hisuian Avalugg, given that they're not running Crunch. Unfortunately, they are going to be debuffing us and then swapping into the Lugia, and that's really unfortunate because Lugia is already tanky, and we're just gonna be doing less damage with the flamethrowers. Gonna let whatever this is go. It's just a sky attack. We have 2 shields left, so it's really unlikely that the opponent will go for that Aeroblast on the first move. He does call the Aeroblast on the second move, which is really well played, and then he can go for a flamethrower here, take the Lugia out, and let's see what our opponent has in the back. It looks like they are going to have a Palkia Origin in the back. We still have a shield left for our Tapu Bulu. They are going to bring in the Hisuian Avalugg here and go for an Icy Wind. So we're going to go ahead and shield that and then go for a Grass Knot on the Hisuian Avalugg and save our Tapu Bulu for Palkia. Even debuffed here, we should be able to take it out with 2 Nature's Madness. Gonna go for the first one. It does get them in the yellow, and then we should be able to go for another one. It's gonna get really close because the Aqua Tails are hurting, but we're able to reach the next Nature's Madness, take the Palkia out, and take that final win, and that is going to be a 5-0, sending this battler straight to Legend. Congratulations on hitting Legend. That's going to be the end of the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed these battles. I know I did. I really want to try this team out, but unfortunately, I do not have the Pokemon for it. I'm really grateful that he submit these battles to me because otherwise I am lacking on Master League content because, again, I don't have the best Pokemon for Master League, so it was really, really nice having these battles to review. If you guys like my content, please consider subscribing. Maybe leave a like. It helps me out so much. And I will see you guys in the next video. We get so lucky. They have a monkey. What's this monkey called again? I should know. What's that monkey? Zarude. There. I almost called it Zygarde. Yes, they have a Zygarde in the back. No. Did we lose that?